Well, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission is set to clear the takeover of regional pay TV service Austar by its city-based rival Foxtel, on the condition that content is made available to internet TV operators that are trying to compete against both of them. But as ACCC Chairman Rod Sims made clear in our interview this week, the worry is what the takeover means for Telstra's market power. Well, Rod Sims, to what extent is the Foxtel Austar decision really about Telstra and not wanting to give it more market power?
Oh, look, there's a lot to do with that, Alan. I think the fact that Telstra own 50% of Foxtel, I mean, they've built that up from scratch. They've incurred a lot of losses to build that position. I don't begrudge them that, but the effect of the merger would be that they would take that 50% ownership of the dominant pay TV player in the cities to the other half of Australia, and that meant that as the telecommunication world increasingly moves to a bundled product of broadband, telephony and television, that would give them a significant advantage. So that was one of our main concerns.
Well, is it a matter of not being able to trust Telstra with more market power, or doesn't trust come into it?
Oh, trust does not come into it at all, Alan. I mean, if somebody has market power, frankly, I pay them the respect of thinking that they will use it. It would be uncommercial not to. So no, there's no question of lack of trust. The point is, if anybody has market power, of course they'll use it. It would be an insult to them to suggest otherwise from a commercial point of view, to be honest. Well,
you seem to be close to allowing the acquisition of Austar by Foxtel, but it seems to be on the basis that Foxtel is going to provide content to IPTV providers. So is that really what it's about, that you're trying to foster an IPTV business in Australia? Well,
that IPTV business is already there. I mean, of course, the triple play approach in the telecommunications market is at a fairly early stage, but Telstra's out there with its T-Box. Fetch TV is working with a number of the other ISPs to build up an IPTV business to allow a triple play. That market's there. What the undertaking does that we're out for market consultation on, which has been given to us by Foxtel, is it allows other potential IPTV players to get access to content. The important point is that in our market inquiries, we judged that what the IPTV market was looking for particularly was a differentiated product to what Foxtel supplies, and so they may well come up with different content at a very different price point. And by making sure that Foxtel can't tie up all the programming on an exclusive basis, this undertaking has the potential to facilitate the competition in that market. It has been suggested that the Foxtel-Austar deal shows that you're going to take a more pragmatic approach to mergers, M&A activity, and perhaps have a lighter touch. Is that right? Oh, Alan, I think whenever you're dealing with these very complex mergers, they are a situation unto themselves. The framework around this, the details around this particular merger are unique to this merger. What we've done is get out there and talk to the competitors, try and understand the marketplace. I've talked about making commercial assessments. We've tried to work out what the market needs and respond accordingly. So you're not going to have a lighter touch? Alan, each of the mergers that we deal with that are complex, I mean, many of them are straightforward. Each of them that are complex depend on their own set of facts. What I've said I'm going to do is make commercial assessments of these mergers rather than any theoretical approach. I'm not commenting on how that changes from previous approaches simply because I wasn't here. On the subject of supermarkets, now you've said that that's a priority business because of the concentration between Coles and Woolworths, and you've got suppliers complaining about their exercise of market power. But isn't it a juggle for you between protecting suppliers but also looking after consumers' interests? The thing I'd say about supermarkets and why it's become a focus for us is because the community interest in this is just enormous. Whenever I go on any form of a media program, this is what I get asked about, even if it's top of my mind or not. There's just tremendous interest in this issue, and you're right, it is a bit. People are interested in both the welfare of the suppliers, and they're interested in lower prices, and that does cause a bit of complexity. But we have had a lot of concerns from suppliers, particularly from the supplier organisations. Suppliers have been complaining to their politicians, suppliers have been complaining to radio, television stations, and so those complaints are huge. As a publicly funded regulator, we have an obligation to look into those complaints and see whether they're a breach of the Act. The point I would say, Alan, if I could, is that, of course, whether they're a breach of the Act is complex. There's nothing in the Act that prevents a company that has market power from exercising that to get lower prices from its suppliers. That's not, lower prices from your suppliers isn't against the Act. What is against the Act is if you treat your suppliers or deal with your suppliers in an unconscionable way.
But is there any evidence of unconscionable conduct?
What I would say is that if the stories that we hear turn out to be fully backed up, then there could be potential unconscionable conduct. But at this stage, all we're doing is gathering evidence, Alan, so we don't have evidence yet of unconscionable conduct, but what we do know is it's worth looking at.
Thanks for joining us, Rod Sims.
Alan, all the best. Thank you very much.